All right, so for today, I'm just going to be making a quick video introducing you to the next topic that I'm going to be focusing on this channel. Previously, I've been focusing a lot of my attention on the aspect of consciousness that I call emotion, the emotional, the feeling aspect of consciousness. And I did that primarily because I feel like feelings get a bad rap these days, and they're very well misunderstood. And I thought that we could spend a little bit of time focusing on that aspect of consciousness, really shedding some light on what these feelings are and how important they are in terms of just an experience that we can have, an entire aspect of experience that we can have. And so from there, now that we have a pretty good idea of that part of the human condition, of that part of human consciousness, now we can focus on human thought and really move into this realm the way that it is meant to be moved into, the way that it's meant to be taught, which is through the hero's journey, the journey within, because that's where we have to go when we're talking about human thought. And it really is a journey. It really is a journey within. And I want you to understand that, or I just want to remind you that this is all about going into the unknown and making what is unknown known to us, and how we actually do that. And I suppose the best way to talk about this is to clear something up very quickly from the beginning, because we talk about these heroic journeys, right? These, like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, the original Star Wars, not Disney Star Wars, original Star Wars. And we have, J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter, okay? So we have J.R.R. Tolkien creating Lord of the Rings. You got George Lucas creating the original Star Wars. You've got J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter. And you see these main characters, right, that exist in these universes that are created by these creators, Frodo, Luke, Harry Potter, and you see them go out into their vast, wide universe and have experiences, have adventures, and fight evil and face their fears and all of this wonderful stuff. And we get this idea that that's what it's all about. They go in and they have these adventures, and then they get the bounty, they get the ultimate boon, they win the adventure, they win the award, they save the human race, they save the galaxy. We go, wow, that was courageous. These guys are heroes. They're the ones that we need to pay attention to. But I want to point out that that's not what going into the unknown means, okay? When you look at these people, Frodo, Luke, and Harry, what you see are heroes. But that's not true, okay? That's not what is actually happening, because none of these stories that I just mentioned are real. They're all figments of our imagination. They were created by true heroes. They were created by George Lucas, by J.R.R. Tolkien, by J.K. Rowling. They're the ones who went into the unknown of the inner workings of their mind and dragged out these ultimate boons, these things, these effects that they said, these things are interesting. I'm going to show these things to everybody. That's what real courage is. That's what gives you massive success in your life. Not focusing on Luke, but focusing on George, okay? Not focusing on Harry, but focusing on Rowling, okay? Those are the heroes. Those are the ones who did the brave thing, became producers in their lives, produced something, created something from their mind, showed it to the world, and the world either accepted or rejected what they created. That is what is heroic. That is what will give you ultimate boon. J.K. Rowling and George Lucas both being billionaires, okay? We have to remind ourselves that we call authors because they're authoritarians in their story. They completely determine the things, the characters that are in the stories that they create themselves. They create the entire universe. Everything is under their control, ultimately. That is what an authoritarian is. And so, the adventure is to go into our minds, okay? To find the little nuggets of gold. That's why we call the mind, okay? Because we mine it for the little nuggets of gold, and then we bring them back out into the world for all to see, okay? And we all benefit from them. We all benefit from the stories of the original Star Wars series and the original Star Wars saga. We all benefit from Harry Potter. We all benefit from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Into the mind is where we are going in heading into later videos on this channel, because it is where we have to go to find the spark that actually lights the flame of our inner being. And, with that all being said, I just don't want to make it sound like it's all about just going within. Like, you can have real adventures and go out there and have true experiences, travel the world and do all that amazing stuff. That's great. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you more things to mine in your mind and come up with better nuggets of gold by having more experiences out there. By all means, do that. I'm not denying that. But the point is at the end of the day, whether you have those experiences or not, whether you travel the world or not, you still have to go within yourself in order to extract those stories, in order to extract whatever ultimate boon, whatever benefit that you're actually going to offer for the world. You still have to create it, and you still have to go within your mind in order to do that. And that's what the hero's journey is all about. And there's nothing really there's no real way to get around this. If you want to be successful, you have to go within your mind to come up with something unique or worthwhile or worth the story, or worth creating a story for to share with other people. And so really what the journey is the journey from the ordinary, mundane, known realm of our visual senses and into the strange, chaotic, unknown realm of the deepest recesses of our minds. Okay, what you uncover could redeem you for your searches. What you could bring back is what could be the greatest success in your life, and the only way for you to find out is to actually go on this journey yourself. And so what you'll experience in the following videos is probably going to be a little bit of a divergence from the duality of good and evil and all of that stuff, because we're going to be really diving into the shadow. We're going to be really diving into your capacity for evil, because these are the areas of our mind, of the areas of our thoughts that we like to pretend that we don't actually have, or that we are incapable of having. We have to go into that area, because we have to understand that when you say that you have an imagination and you can imagine anything in the entire universe and beyond, you can even imagine the universe itself. That means that your mind, your conceptual mind, can encapsulate the entire totality of everything in this universe. Then what you're saying is that you can imagine some pretty horrific and horrifying and terrible things, and we can't be afraid to go there, because that's what's going to make the story great, okay? And so, what this is the shadowy underbelly of the mind, the part of the mind that we like to pretend doesn't exist. It's the part of the mind against your best efforts still remembers the mistakes that you've made, the wrongs that you've committed, the evil that you are. It still remembers that you've committed wrongs in the past, and it's the part of the mind that likes to remind us, because it knows for a fact that we're going to make errors and failures in the future. We are failure machines, okay? So we're going to talk about atonement. At-one-ment. At-one-ment. Ment means mind, like mental. At one mind, okay? So when you atone, you're bringing unity to your mind, not by removing the evil from your being, but by accepting your failures and shortcomings as a part of who you are, and also striving to commit to doing better today than yesterday, and showing that to yourself. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about enlightenment, which has everything to do with your capacity to evil, or your capacity for evil, because that's what we have to shed light upon in order for us to understand ourselves. And we're also going to talk about logic and reason and concepts and judgments and arguments, because there's really three acts of thought. There's really three acts of the mind, and they are concepts, they are judgments, and they are arguments. And we have to talk about these three aspects in order for us to understand the objective reality that we find ourselves in. So this is where we have to go. We have to go into our evil side. We have to go in to the unknown, to what is uncertain, and make it known, and utilize a process of learning that will help us actually do that at a much more effective level. And we're going to be talking about all of that. And finally, I guess, you know, I'd just like to remind you guys that I'm not here to tell you how to feel or how to experience feelings. Just, I've stated that in the past. And, just like that, I'm also not here to tell you how to think, okay? And I can't think for you. You have to dive into your inner recesses of your own mind and do this work for yourself as well. This is an individual's hero's journey. It's not just someone else's journey that they can do and then you can completely benefit from those the bounty of somebody else's journey. You have to do this journey yourself. And before we get into that, before you dive into those depths, there's a few things that we have to know. And we're going to talk about the most fundamentally important part about human thought that we have to remind ourselves constantly. It's an Eckhart Tolle thing. And that is reminding ourselves that thoughts are just experiences, and thus they are not you. You are not your thoughts. And that's what we're going to talk about in the very next video, because it is key to actually doing this work. Because if you're going to be thinking about all this evil stuff all the time for a little bit of time, it's very important to remind yourself that you are not your thoughts. Because if you associate yourself with your thoughts, it's going to be very hard to have those thoughts that are so negative and so dark at times. And so that's what we're going to talk about first. I'm going to prove this point, and I'm super excited to do that because it's a fun thing to talk about, and it's a very freeing thing to talk about as well for people that haven't thought about this and said, oh wait, I'm not my thoughts, and it kind of frees you from a lot of self-inflicted suffering. And so I look forward to doing that, and so I'll see you in the next video.